The Danceology podcast interviews the great masters of dance, the working professionals starring in today's most exciting shows, and the rising stars ready to amp up the craft. I'm your host, Edyta Stawinska from Dancing with the Stars. Join me as I dive into the world of dance, uncovering unique stories and the fascinating personalities of industry professionals on Danceology. Ashley, so many years has passed.
I know.
Definitely over a decade.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe, for sure, maybe 15.
Maybe, yeah.
Please.
Were you at the 100th episode? Did you do that?
No,
Okay, then
I
yes.
have not.
Then it's like
Then 10, 15 years. Very, very long time. We have a lot of catching up to do.
Yes.
What exciting stuff have you been working on lately?
Well, since I've left the show, I did get married. So actually, I got married. My husband, I actually met on the TV show. So during first season of Dancing with the Stars, he was my field producer. And I think he probably produced some of your stuff. Maybe you had him a couple of times. But they would try to switch our producers around. But Mike was actually stuck with me because I was dancing with Joey McIntyre. And Joey just took a liking to Mike like right away. And so I met him on the show, and it was quite amazing, actually. I never thought I would actually meet my husband in Hollywood. So then after, I think it was third season, I got kicked off a little early with Harry Hamlin. So Mike and I got married during the third season. And roughly 11 months later, my son Ammon came. Right away. And then I had another son come 2 years later. And then I came back to do season 10. So I had two little boys and I came back for season 10 and then just did that season. And then I had another baby girl, then another baby boy. And then there was a 9-year gap. And we just had our last little fifth one a year ago. So that was just more my personal life of me becoming just a mother, which has been a full-fledged adventure and everything I've ever wanted to be. On top of being just a mom and a wife, I also travel the US with a big dance convention called Nuvo. And I'm almost gone like every other weekend. So my husband is amazing and he holds down the fort when I'm gone. And I love teaching the next generation of dancers. They are phenomenal and so smart, and it has been such a treat to be one of those educators helping them with their talents. So that's
okay. You can't.
I went into a lot of things.
Yeah, listen, you sped through your kind of timeline and your life, and I have. There are so many times when I wanted to pause. Oh, wait! Yeah. I'm not there yet.
No, you're good.
Listen. But Ashley, so you are a very busy mom of 5. Your little daughter, as you just told me, is only slightly over a year old, which is incredible.
Yes.
So instead of going to the past, tell me what is your typical day like right now? Busy mom of 5 who's gone every other weekend. How do you handle it? What does it look like in real life?
Okay, exactly. So we usually wake up about 6:45. I have to get my 4 older children out to school. So we usually get up. Everyone is probably gone. It's kind of chaotic until about 7:45 of making lunches, making breakfast, making sure they have their homework done. My oldest is 17, so I have a senior who is going to be graduating this year, which is, I can't even comprehend that actually.
Probably driving.
Oh, he's fully driving, has a full job. He's phenomenal. And, another high schooler, my 15-year-old's in high school. And so they go off. He drives into high school. I get my little 4th grader out the door to catch the bus. And then I drive my daughter, Naomi, to catch her bus. And then it's kind of quiet for a minute. Emma usually gets up. She's my 1-year-old. And I try to get stuff done. I try to make it to the gym. So my husband's so awesome. I like group fitness, so I try to get to a class at least once a day that I can go to the gym. So that's usually in the morning, and then I'll come home, clean, so much laundry. It's insane. It's just never ends. I feel like when I finally folded the last clothes, I look back and there's a whole other pile right in front of
Yeah.
the washing machine, which you could probably totally relate. Um, and then we do the full school pickup. So my sons will come home from high school. I'll go pick up my daughter. She's in middle school, my 13-year-old Naomi. And then Sammy comes home. I usually drive my daughter. My daughter Naomi dances at my mom's school, Center Stage, Performing Arts Studio, so her dance studio. So I usually drive my daughter to dance, and then I'll come home. Sometimes I'll have a few lessons during the day. I have a little studio here on my property, just like in one of my garages. My husband turned into a great private studio. And then we'll make dinner, and not everyone sometimes is home. Usually I'm running my boys. My boys also do karate. So either I'm running them or my husband will run my boys to karate while I'm now preparing my 1-year-old to get ready to eat her dinner, to then get her in the bath and to get her down. And then cleanup starts happening. So really, I don't stop until probably 11 o'clock at night when I finally can just lay down. But I am so grateful for it. I truly love it. Every day I wake up with just such gratitude that I have the life that I have, and that I really, it's like just been a dream come true to do what I do. And then on top of it, I'm a working mother. So when I'm not home, I'm just working full time on the road and teaching at multiple studios around the US, choreographing pieces that compete in the convention dance scene. And that's pretty much
I
just
was
one.
just going to ask, what what happens when you're not there? So that's your day,
That's
full
my
on
day.
from 6:45 until 11 p.m. What
Mhm.
happens when you're not there? Your husband
When
must be an angel.
My husband is literally phenomenal. So when I'm not home, usually starting Fridays, I usually leave like maybe sometimes Thursday nights. I come home Sunday night. So he holds down the fort. Fridays, he gets everyone out to school. Then it's just him and Emma, and he loves that time. He'll take her to go do some fun things. And then he just does the Friday runabout, running my daughter to dance, my sons to karate. He's actually a better cook than me. I will have to say that. Like I can cook, but my husband is 10 times better than I am. So the kids just eat awesomely during the weekend, and then he just has a ball. And then Saturday is kind of on and off of karate, dance, and then he just yeah, he's just holding down the fort like constant. It's just hard to do being a single parent when it's just on the weekends, but he does have great support with my kids that do love to help with Emma. That is a great benefit of having a 9-year gap. Is there's lots of helpers where when I had the 4, they were very close together. So it was actually a little bit more difficult. And then on Sundays, he takes them all to church. He actually has, we have them called callings in our church. So he holds a calling in the church, and it's a pretty big one. And so he does that on top of getting the kids all there. And then by the time 8 o'clock comes around, I'm usually flying back in. So he does dinner, tries to clean up, and then comes and picks me up at the airport.
Do you feel that those trips that you do on a weekend are a bit of your me time? Because I mean, you manage to look just as beautiful as I remember you when you were on the show. You look fresh. I mean, it's incredibly hard to do it, even with 2 kids that I have, to find the time to do the little things for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard from many people, from many moms that are stay-at-home moms, that the work is for them a time off, really.
Yes, honestly, I that's why I really do have the best of both worlds. Like I'm home during the week, then on the weekends, I get to fulfill my calling and my talents that God has given me. And so there is the me time. So when I call my husband and I'm done either judging a competition or teaching class and I'm in my hotel room, and I just hear the chaos and I'm like laying in my bed. I do feel a little guilty of just like, oh my gosh, it's so peaceful and I get to go to sleep tonight and I'm not getting woken up at 4 a.m. to go get the baby. I actually, which she sleeps for him. She actually sleeps through the night. When I'm home, she still gets up. But for him, she'll sleep the whole night, almost 12 hours. But yeah, so then I do have that moment of I get to kind of recharge my batteries. And when I come home, I honestly feel like a better wife, a better mother, because I also get to do that. But I do have the best support to just help me fulfill that.
The community is very important.
It's
You
so
grew
important.
up in a very big family of 8. You
Yes.
had 5 sisters, and we're going to talk about it because I remember meeting all of your sisters when I moved to US. The biggest, the national championships were in Utah. So we would every year we would come to BYU and compete. And I remember seeing these 5 gorgeous girls, dark hair, talented, flexible, trained in all these different styles. And then there was the Queen, Ashley, of course. Uh, so you grew up in a big family.
Mhm.
Did you always want to have a big family? Was that always your dream? Because you got the taste of the Hollywood, of the show business. Was that ever tempting, or there was never a question for you that you
Um,
pursue something that you grew up with?
well, I've always known I would be a professional dancer. So no matter what, it wasn't something all my sisters were pursuing to do. But for me, I knew from day one that I wanted to be a professional dancer, but I also knew I wanted to be a mother. That was on actually higher than being a professional dancer. It is so I've always wanted to be that. And so I didn't like I kind of always seen 4. Like I was like, I knew I would have a large family, not as big as my mother. I would not have 8 kids. Like my mother was phenomenal. My older sister, Amber, she has 7. It's just crazy. It's wonderful. I just knew I can handle, 4, 5-ish. And so I kind of
Very
wanted to,
ambitious, by the way.
huh?
Very ambitious, by the way,
Yeah.
still.
I mean, in my culture, it's very common to have large families. So for us, I mean, my husband comes from a family of just him and his brother, which is very common also on the East Coast, is to actually have a smaller family. So actually for my husband, it was a little bit more of a shock that for him to have, up to 5 children, which was wonderful. Like we just love it. But yes, I kind of always kind of felt that. And then every child, I just, I don't know, it was just a blessing every time we were able to get pregnant, because it wasn't always an easy battle for us to get pregnant. We've had a miscarriage. And so there was just times that it was kind of difficult. So each child was just such a blessing. And I'm just so honored that I have them. Yeah.
And when your adventure, I would say, with motherhood started, you were on the show or in between the shows? I'm just trying to go back in the memory. So you did the first 3 seasons of the show. You met your husband, who was a field producer, which means, by the way, I don't think I met him because the first season of the show, I was traveling. I was out of...
You were in Atlantic City.
I was in Atlanta, traveling training Evander Holyfield. So I was where he was. So I never got to work with your husband, actually. And I think he left after the first season.
Yes.
So field producers, just for everyone, my listeners, are the people behind the scenes who produce the packages, those little movies that you see before the dance on Dancing with the Stars. So you guys met on the show. He was your producer.
Yes.
You clearly fell in love.
Yes.
And then boom, there is a baby. And Ashley kind of disappeared for a while. Mm-hmm. Guide me through it. You meet Mike. What attracted you to him? Did you plan the family? Was it all planned? Was it all surprise? Tell me all about it.
Yes. So when I first met Michael, it was actually my very first practice with Joey McIntyre. And I actually was late. So I didn't understand LA traffic so much when it said that the studio was only 5 miles away from where I was living, actually staying with my uncle who lived in Hollywood Hills. And I was like, oh, this is nothing. I'll get there in 20 minutes. It's only 5 miles away. No, it took me an hour to get there. And I even left like 40 minutes. So I was, and I'm never late. It's just not my thing. So for me to be late to a practice, I think I was about 10 minutes late. And I come running in like just freaking out. I come running up the stairs. It was at like an Arthur Murray studio in Beverly Hills. It was some random place that they found. I don't think we like really recorded or rehearsed there that much at all. But meanwhile, while I was late, Mike was setting up and Joey was there. And Joey was actually, Michael kind of talked him off the ledge of, Joey was kind of contemplating of not doing the show. So if you remember, Anna Trubinskaya she was supposed to be one of our pros on the original. She had a celebrity and he pulled out. So Anna was on the very first season with us because her celebrity pulled out. Well, Joey was kind of literally almost about to do the same thing. So I think God works in mysterious ways because I was late, but Michael literally talked him off the ledge of quitting and being like, no, you get to dance with Ashley. Like I saw Ashley's videos, like I've never met him in my life. And Mike was like, I know this girl can dance. You're going to have such a great time. And Joey was like, I just don't want to wear the costumes. And Mike is also from the Boston area. That's why Joey took such a liking to Mike. And so Mike literally talked him off the ledge of wanting to quit the show. And then here I come running up the stairs. I'm so sorry. I'm never late. You know, this whole frantic scene of me running and I see Mike like setting up the camera and I look and I'm like, oh, he's cute. But literally I'm just focused on like I was so embarrassed. I was late to Joey, like so embarrassed. But yeah. So then Joey and I just started dancing. We were getting our cha-cha done. And from that point forward, Joey called the producers and then literally said, I will stay in the show, but Mike has to be our film producer the whole time. And so I didn't know that happened. And so every time I would come back to rehearse, Mike was the constant film. Usually they'll keep him for a week and then they would kind of transfer all of our field guys, just so they don't get very comfortable with us if they have to kind of do a package that isn't very kind, you know, that they don't feel very personal, like that personal connection to the talent. But Joey was like, no, he has to be it. I know he's producing me so well. I feel very comfortable with him around. Because Mike he was such a great videographer too, that you wouldn't actually really know that he's there. He wasn't very abrasive when he would video us. And so Joey felt extremely comfortable of having Mike there. So basically he was there until Joey and I got eliminated, which was, we were the third ones. So I really got to know Mike and we actually really got to know each other when Joey and I flew back to Boston to be on Regis and Kelly. We went to do one of their shows. And so I stayed at Joey's house in Boston and so did Mike. And that was just one of the nights that we just stayed up talking all night long, just about life and kind of getting to know each other, just not from the show, just simple, like, yeah. So it was a wonderful night. I just remember we were looking outside. We didn't realize we talked all night long and the sun was coming up and I was about to go shoot Regis and Kelly in 2 hours. And I literally was just like, I've never done this. Like he was
how am I going to keep my eyes open?
Yeah. So, but I was just so intrigued of just meeting him and just the conversation we were having. And it was just really, really quite fun. And I knew right then, I was like, gosh, this guy is really cool. I need to get to know him more. But I wanted to focus on my career. I was not moving to Hollywood to meet somebody. In fact, I actually was recently out of a relationship. I was married before to my ballroom partner. So he was, when I was very young, I was married before. So I was already recently divorced. I was very young. So when I moved to Hollywood, I was not looking for a relationship at all. But like I said, God works in mysterious ways.
It just happens.
It just happened. But it was the best friendship that was happening. And we both were starting to like each other, but we didn't know, like, you weren't really allowed to date any producers. I guess it was the first season that no one knew, because as the pros, we were both on both sides. We were the talent, but we were also helping produce the whole thing. So we kind of just stood in between, right?
It's always awkward, yeah.
Yes, it was always awkward. So, but we didn't know, and I didn't know. I don't know. It was just a whole new territory for us. So we kind of had to just keep it a little bit of a secret first season when it was done. Actually, when Joey and I got eliminated is when Mike and I, like, I think went on our first date, just quietly. So then second season came around, and Mike, he was shooting other reality television, TV shows like Skating with Celebrities. So he was doing some other things and kind of stepped back from doing Dancing with the Stars. So then I was doing season 2, and then that's when we started dating. And then season 3, we got married. And then
How did he pop the question?
Good question. So we went back east. It was in March of 2026. Yeah. And there's this beautiful beach. So Michael grew up by Cape Cod in a place called Mattapoisett. It's the coolest town. But it's right on the coast in Massachusetts. But there was this beautiful beach that Mike wanted to have me see the sunrise. And so we got up, and I actually wanted to go for a run, which I'm not a runner, but he is. So we went for a little run-ish at like 5:30 in the morning. And we were...
Oh gosh, the things we do follow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, I would never. I'm not like a 5. I mean, yes, dancers, we dance all the way through the night, we're not just the earliest risers. So, and we were just walking, and he was standing next to me, and I thought he tripped. So I looked at him, but he was on his knee. I didn't even know he had a ring, because we never even went ring shopping. We did discuss, like, yes, I knew I wanted to marry him without a doubt. There was no, he was the one, the one. And he just knelt down and just asked me to marry him. And I was literally just kind of in awe. Like, I had no clue I was seriously another big surprise. That one, I had no idea. I didn't even,
Beautiful.
I didn't know he asked my dad. Everything he just did secretly, and had this ring. And I was obviously said yes right away. I wasn't home in Utah, so my sisters were really quite excited when I called. It was really early there because it's 2 hours ahead East Coast time. But that's how we popped the question. And then that was March of 2026. And in season 3, I was dancing with Harry Hamlin. And we got eliminated earlier than we thought.
Really? Mm-hmm.
So because we did, Mike and I gave our families 11 days notice that we were getting married, because then I would have actually been able to have a honeymoon. I would have been able to. Yes. So because of that factor, and we got eliminated early, Mike and I call his parents, and I call my parents, and I said, hey, we're going to get married October 21st. If you guys can make it, be awesome. 3 of my siblings actually couldn't make the wedding. I know. But it was the day that was the place that we wanted. We got married actually in the Los Angeles, the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints temple. It's right there in Santa Monica. It's a beautiful, beautiful temple, and it was available. And so we just said, I was like, I got eliminated, and we can get married on this date, and we're going to get married on this date. So we, in 11 days, put together a full wedding. We had 20 people, I think, be there. I think I wore my sister's wedding dress. Our whole wedding cost us $100. Mm-hmm. So it was really just perfect for us. It's exactly what we wanted. And I would never have changed it at all. And we were able to have the most amazing honeymoon. But I didn't know, here comes the honeymoon, that I can get pregnant so fast. And we had, we got pregnant on the honeymoon. And then Ammon came like 9.5, 10 months later. And that was really good. That was a surprise. That was something I was just like, I didn't know it can happen so fast. And
gosh, so your plan was to get married and go back to the show.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then you get the surprise.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I love how we have to fit our weddings and all our life in between the Dancing with the Stars seasons and the tours. I had to fit my wedding too, somewhere in between them. Between them. Uh, all right, so you kind of disappeared, as I said, for a number of years, and you came back for season 10 with 2 kids already.
Ammon was,
How did, yeah, how, and he was 2 years old?
and Enoch was
How did
6
that
months.
work? How did that
Well,
work? Like logistically, like who did you bring the kids with you? Did you
yes.
leave
So
them behind? Okay.
the crazy thing that happened was actually it was season 9 when it was Kim Johnson was dancing with Donny Osmond, and prior to season 9, they called me. I literally was either 2 days from giving birth to Enoch, and the producers call me and be like, "Can you do the season? Because we have a celebrity that we know would want to be, partners with you, and it's Donny Osmond because we're both from the same church and same culture, and I'm literally like,
Makes sense.
I have to have my baby first, like I can't, type of thing. So
And when would the show start? So they're giving you a call, you're 2
yeah,
days from delivery, and the show starts
3 weeks.
in 3 weeks, and they expect you to go out and dance in
So
3
that's
weeks.
what I was like, I don't think I can. And this is where I know like everything works out for a reason. So glad that he had Kim because she's just perfect. She's so perfect for him. It was the perfect match. And I just needed a minute of having a 2-year-old because Ammon was just 2. They're exactly 2 years apart. Their birthdays are 3 days apart. And then I just had a brand new little boy. So season 10, they called and asked, yes, if I can come back. So Enoch was 6 months old. I was fully breastfeeding him 100%. And Ammon was still, very rambunctious 2-year-old. So what happened is they did fly. My sister Avery came out with me and she helped be my nanny. While my husband stayed in Utah because he was working in Utah. So we actually moved back to Utah. We were in Utah. My sister came with me and she helped nanny the boys while I was dancing with Buzz Aldrin, who was a wonderful celebrity to teach. He was so easygoing. He was such a hard worker. He was so different than some of my other experiences that I had, from the past. And he was just perfect for me to have my 2 little boys with it. And they loved the fact, like Ammon loved the fact I was dancing with Buzz Lightyear because Buzz Lightyear was named after Buzz Aldrin. And Ammon just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So for my family, they just thought it was the coolest adventure. Yeah. And then that's kind of how I juggled it. I had to fly to Australia with him. I don't know if you've ever tried to pump milk on an airplane and do that whole thing, which was so crazy. And you're flying 14 hours, which actually I was so grateful that Buzz told the producers I needed to be in first class with him, which was such a great thing because sometimes I don't even know if they would have done that. But Buzz was just, he kind of insisted that I was going to be up with him. That was a fun adventure though with him. But after season 10 was done and I went back home to Utah, the show was kind of doing like a tug of war. Like they would be like, okay, we want you on this season. And then 3 days before the season was about to start, oh, we decided to go a different direction. And that was kind of happening maybe for 2 years after season 10, that possibly I was going to come back on. And then it was like a no. But then I was, then we found out we were pregnant with our 3rd little one. And after that, I was like, you know what? I need to be a mom. And I believe the chapter of Dancing with the Stars has come to a close, which is bittersweet. Like,
yes,
we both were raised to perform
100%.
and to dance, and that is both our passion. And so to have that door close, it took me a minute to kind of get through it, I guess you can say, because I miss dancing so much. I don't know if you remember back in the day when you and I did that off-Broadway show with Louis, and we were dancing. Like, that's my passion, was dancing in a live show like that. That is what I lived for. I loved competing, but I only did it just so we can get some titles and my name. And I am very competitive, but on the stage, that was my passion. So to transfer from doing the stage to strictly teaching was a bit of a transition for me. I did travel now and then, and I would perform with, Ballroom with a Twist that would call us out, and we would do some shows, and I would do a couple of professional shows, but really nothing like Dancing with the Stars or Latin Revolution, things that I truly loved. But also transitioning of being a mother at the time of 3, then 4, now 5. So that's kind of how that worked.
But it was your choice. It was never in your mind that you could choose a different path, was it?
Yeah. No, it was exactly the way it was supposed to happen. A few things like where I'd be like, oh, I wish I would have done, when So You Think You Can Dance came out, I was like, oh, I would have loved to do that.
You would be amazing on it.
It was something I trained for my whole life. I was a cross-trained dancer. I wasn't just ballroom, and I wasn't just a jazz, hip hop, lyrical, tap, ballet dancer. My mother just raised me to be an all-rounded dancer. And so that was something I was like, oh, I would have loved to do that. But really, I really did exactly what I wanted to do. There wasn't really anything that I wasn't able or was not able to do. Maybe the timing, some of the timing, I wish the timing was a little different, but it just was, it was great. It was supposed to be what it was supposed to be.
And that is absolutely an amazing feeling to know that you are where you're supposed to be in life. Yeah. You mentioned your mom. Your mom is a character bigger in life, a little bit like my husband's mom. I don't know. Do you remember Natasha?
Of course I know Natasha. She was my first literally introduction to the ballroom world was one of these comps we did in San Francisco. And it was Jenny and Giselle. They were a couple, and then
Jenny is my husband's brother.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So he was I was telling, he was one of my first crushes I've ever had my whole life. Was Jenny.
Oh gosh, she's gonna get such a kick out of it when I tell you.
Yes. Jenny and I would have it was just crazy. And then it was just this weird thing. So I got to know Natasha really well. She just kind of adopted us because we didn't know the culture of the ballroom world. My mom just kind of had to start to do it. And we were just these kids from Utah that literally we didn't know. My mom was just like, this is an amazing dance form. It is kind of big in Utah, but I don't want my daughter just to be stuck in Utah. I want her to kind of see how it is and compete against everyone around the whole US and the world, right? So one of our first comps was in San Francisco, the San Francisco Open, I believe. And that's when I met Zhenya. And it was just one of those times. And then Natasha, who literally introduced the world to me. So yes, she's made a big impact, Natasha did, for my younger years of the ballroom world. And Jenny and Giselle were just someone that we just looked up to so much because it was them and then my partner and I. We were always second place. We'd maybe get a dance, maybe we'd get jive on them now and then, but Jenny was always first. But that's okay. But yes.
They were amazing. They were really, really well matched. And so you were, so your mom, how was your relationship with your mom? Because your mom is this person that is associated with Center Stage, which is like this huge studio. I want to talk about it a little bit later. So your mom is a dance teacher. She kind of pushed you or directed you to be trained in all these different dance styles. And by the way, I have to mention it right now before I keep going. Center Stage, the studio that your mom was involved, is this really incredible studio that we, me and my husband too, come to train every once in a while, where so many incredible dancers came out of. Okay, Derek and Julianne, Lindsay, Whitney, Jenna Johnson, help me, who else?
Brandon Armstrong. So Brandon Armstrong, Chelsea Hightower, myself. There was Ezra and Ezra Sosa, his sister, Stephanie, is also from Center Stage. Actually, the finale this year, 4 of the couples were Center Stage. out of the 5.
There you go. And your mom literally built that studio.
Yeah.
What was your relationship like with your mom? What impact did she have on your, or does she have on your life?
She does. My mother was such a huge inspiration. She just had this life that she fought for. She always was very passionate about the dance world. She was not given the opportunity of training like she gave me. And that's why she gave me the training that I had. She was mainly just trained in ballet and basically and jazz, but more self-taught herself. Like she opened a studio in Colorado where Mandy Moore, the choreographer, came from. So Mandy Moore is like my older sister. In fact, she babysat me when I was 1. So we have that big connection too. So Mandy Moore comes from my mother. She's my mom.
Another amazing dance personality.
Yes, exactly.
Emmy-winning choreographer, yeah.
She's just phenomenal and so creative. So my mom saw that. My mom is someone that can see talent, miles away and be like, even when they would just step in, she'd be like, that person will get it. And everyone that we've named off were people exactly that my mother would say, they'll make it just like this. She pushed me to be a very hard worker. I was the guinea pig at Center Stage to start ballroom and all the styles. So before me, there was nothing. It was just a jazz, tap, hip hop, lyrical ballet studio and a singing studio. And my hip hop teacher, his name was Rick Robinson, became my ballroom coach and then ballroom partner. He was my professional partner when I turned pro. Well, actually kind of made him come out of retirement to dance with me because I wanted to stay in Utah and there wasn't any dancers available, but that's another side version. But my mother just helped kind of develop that talent. And then when she met Corky and Shirley Ballas, she just knew how big this could be. She saw the vision of what ballroom could be. And she then made it necessary that it became one of the main dance forms that are going to be taught at Center Stage. So she helped bring that in with Rick Robinson. And then she's always, still to this day, my mom, I believe, teaches 10 hours of dance. She teaches the preschool classes. So she's still there helping raise the next generation of dancers and still mentor the best of the best. My relationship with her is awesome. I mean, it's hard to have a mother that is also your boss because I do teach at the dance studio. I teach a ballroom class once a weekend or week, on Tuesday nights, which I do love. I love that I have a set class. But she also was kind of like I never had a manager, like a normal like Hollywood manager, like everyone else would have agents. And I never had that. I never was given, my mother pretty much was my manager or / I guess agent. People would call her all the time. She does have a production company. So outside of Center Stage Performing Arts Studio, my mom owns a production company called Del Grosso Productions, which she hires out every dancer you just talked about on Dancing with the Stars. So people will call and be like, do you have dancers that can do this? And she is the connection for everybody. And she's everybody's mom. So I know she recently to the show and she just loved seeing everybody and loved seeing like Max was there and Val and Jenna, which Jenna won, which we were so proud of. And so for my mom, it's just such a great treat to see how amazing the talent that did come out of Utah, of all places.
Yes.
And that she was also, and she's still there. She's still there to help people manage or produce, or they'll call for talent or whatever she does. She's a magic. She's literally has her hands in everything. But she's also the most kindest person. She would literally give her shirt off her back to someone that would need it. Like growing up in the dance world, my mom pretty much would sponsor a lot of my sister's partners. And we didn't grow up rich. She had 8 children. Like we would come home and have cereal for dinner, like that's what we would have. But my mom would give so much because she knew these kids would have this talent. And she wanted to give them that opportunity. So she's just a wonderful, human being.
It brought so many memories when you were talking about your mom, and definitely you feel from your mom that warmth right away when you meet her. But why do you think so many amazing dancers come out from Utah, from this particular environment?
Well, our culture is really into the arts, and they do push that each individual should find a talent that they're really good at, and dancing is a big one in Utah. Um, so a lot of the children start dancing at a very young age, or if they're doing sports, but dancing is one that would really fall into that. Um, and at center stage, like, they would offer so many different dance forms that dancers from all over can feel comfortable when they tried these other forms. It wasn't just a ballet school or a contemporary school or just a ballroom school. It was a well-rounded performing arts school. And so some people would actually come and move to Utah because after we had a reputation of creating such amazing dancers, and not just amazing dancers, but they're hard workers. And that is actually hard to find in the dance world right now, is professionals being professionals. And that is something my mother has trained us dancers to always be professional at showing up on time, not being late, how we conduct ourselves, learning choreography really fast. Like, we were all raised in learning quick snippets. How fast can we learn dances on Dancing with the Stars? They'd give us 2 hours and be like,
Very
hey,
useful. Mm-hmm.
go and do your pro dance. You're performing it in less than 24 hours, and you all have to put together a dance.
2 rehearsals, go out and dance.
Exactly. And we were used to that pressure because we would know so many different styles, and we were competing in the outside convention world that did competitions: jazz, hip hop, tap, lyrical, contemporary. Now ballroom is part of it. And so we were raised to be pros. That is how they taught us. And so that is why there's so many successful, especially coming out of center stage performing arts school, is because we are taught to be that way. And and if they didn't, they would have to talk to my mom, and she would hold them accountable to it. She's the sweetest thing, but then she would call you out on it and be like, well, you were late on this, or
yeah,
to the point. And they don't want to they didn't want to disappoint, or what's the word?
Disappoint her.
Yes, they didn't want to disappoint her at all. And so, but she still loves him. Like, she'd be like, I still would love you, but, and then she'd put in this, you could have done a little bit better at this part. So.
But the reason why I'm asking about why so many great dancers came out of Utah and why dancing is so popular is because I feel like there is a bit of disconnect there in my mind.
Okay.
Because dancing in general, particularly ballroom dancing, is such a sensual and almost very sexy. The dresses that we were, by the way, I didn't know anything about Utah and, Mormon religion. And my first experience was that when we would come to compete in Utah, there were different rules in terms of costumes. So we couldn't wear the costumes that we normally wear on competitions. There were rules. Your sleeves have to be covering your elbows, and you can't open your back.
Yes.
Right. And your cleavage, like, that's not something I could be wearing on a competition in Utah, for example.
Yeah.
So that was, to be honest with you, I mean, you remember my costumes. It was a big headache for me. None of my dresses fit your parameters.
Everyone that would come, and they'd come then to my mom. Kim, do you have a dress for us? Do you have something? Because a lot would come, just like when you would, and they wouldn't know that they broke the rules. They wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Like, you were given that, but you can't have your skirt too short. It has to be right in the middle of your thigh, and they literally will measure it. Do you remember being measured?
Oh yeah, I remember. Oh, you are an inch, too short. Go fix it, otherwise you can't compete. So the reason why I'm asking is, how come that this quite conservative culture is growing? All these dancers, and as I said, dancing requires certain amount of sensuality, but also exhibitionism. How?
Yeah. I think the training, the way we were being trained also, is because ballroom or specifically Latin, ballroom too, the style. We were trained in all styles. I was a 10 dance champion, 10 dancer. And when they first came in, like Corky and Shirley, the basics in the training was something we did consistently. So we really didn't get into the passion of it until once we learned really the basics, until like Corky started introducing it a little bit more to me. So it was more of the outside style influence that would come in, because if not, we would be strictly just doing the technique and the basics. I remember like Corky being like, Ashley, you need to kind of step out of your box. You're too pretty when you dance, you know, like it's just too here type of like thing. It's not more like passionate. You need to get more passionate. So also in dance, we're actresses and actors, and that's really something like we are very passionate people, and we can still make it look very sensual and not over sexualizing it in a way. But in the same sense, we have agency and we can do what we want type of thing. And if we want to go over the board, I know like in our culture, it's not really like, but in the same sense, it's dance and it's an art form. And that's also why my mom had me train also outside of the US. So I would fly to England to train with Shirley and Corky when they would live in London, because in Utah, we just couldn't get it all, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm,
So
of course.
either bring them to us or we would go train out, and I'd be training in California. So that's really kind of where it came from. And then I would be training my dancers. So like Jenna, Whitney, Lindsay, Brandon, Brittany Cherry, Ezra.
Did you train all of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I helped be, and we're their very first teachers. Like Whitney, I was her very first dance teacher, period. She was in my little jazz class when I was like 21 years old. So yes, so I was I would say the example. And I'm a very just passionate person. If I see
you paved the way. You paved the way.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying that, but I really did. There was no one else in front of me that paved the way, other than Shirley Ballas, that I saw where the talent can go. Like Utah's great, but they would kind of stay in their own little bubble. And nothing against BYU, I love it. They're really good at doing formation dancing and great, but it wasn't going to get me where I knew my talent can go, if that makes sense. So that's why I would train with Louis Van Amstel, and he would do his show Dance Revolution. And Louis taught me a lot, and Max taught me a lot, and things that I did not know about life that I learned from all of them. Because in our culture, we just don't talk about it. So that's kind of where it came from. And then I'm a watcher, so when I'd watch competitions, I like, even if I'd watch you, Edita, I'd be like, how is she just so right on her feet and just like kind of animalistic sometimes, where you just get so into it. I'm like, okay, how do I do that? You know, I'd go back to the studio and I would see it, and I'd then be like, okay, so how would I portray that? So a lot of it was me also just trying to teach myself how to then stay competitive in a Latin world, but also stay true to me and not copy everyone else. Does that make sense?
Of course. So, and by the way, vice versa, we were all looking at you and we're admiring your incredible flexibility and that versatility that just gave you a little edge over us, you know, the traditional ballroom dancers that never tried any jazz, any ballet, anything until later on when we realized the value of it. Yeah. But listen, there's a little theory, and tell me, what do you think about it? Okay. That the reason why ballroom dancing in particular is so popular in Utah is because Utah is predominantly Mormon. And yes. I can relate to it. I can relate to it very much because I grew up in Poland, which is in 99% Catholic.
Yep.
And these are two religions that are quite conservative in terms of man and woman relationships. And you are not allowed to have sex before you get married.
You don't. Yeah, true.
And one of the theories is that to normalize the relationships between boys and girls and to kind of take the edge of that taboo subject that you can't get into until you get married.
Yes.
Ballroom dancing kind of fills that void. Is there any truth
Okay.
to it, or is it just like crazy? Is
I,
this just crazy
I've
talk,
never
or?
heard that, but you know what? It kind of makes a little bit of sense because we're very passionate people. I mean, we have large families, so of course we're passionate, and we do. Yes, we do not. I mean, majority, it's our choice, but I didn't. I didn't have sex before I got married. So I waited, and that was just something, you know, kind of very uncommon in LA. It was just like, what? When my husband met me, he was like, you got to be kidding me. Do you know what I mean? So it was kind of like, where did you come from? You're just so conservative. But it was also a choice that I made because I'm like, I know me. But also when it came to dance, because even Mike would be like, how do you dance like that? You know, like, what do you do? And I'm just like, I just feel the music. And the music just, I'm just a very passionate person. So in some sense, it could slowly prepare us. But I've never heard it quite like that, but it kind of makes sense, Edita. So of maybe why that's the reason. Because it's still like just you can't do it. So when you can't,
It's
it's
the
like,
closest the boy can get to a girl, and girl can
yes,
get to a boy on
mhm,
the dance floor.
without
Why
giving,
not?
yes. So that's where the passion comes in, and yeah, it's quite fun.
Ashley, Ashley, what role does religion play in your life?
Huge. It's a big, big role in my life. In fact, when I met my husband, my in-laws are incredible. They're Catholic, and Michael actually, he was actually looking into the church. So going back to when I met him, we were talking in Boston at Joey McIntyre's house. That night was mainly about religion, and Mike was just picking
Mm.
my brain. What do you believe in? Why do you believe in this? Why do you believe in the Book of Mormon? Why do you believe in these different things and that there's prophets? He was just kind of asking questions that I actually really, really enjoyed because even in the ballroom world, I would have Max and even Jenny, they would all ask me, like, why do you believe what you believe? Why do you not drink coffee? What's wrong with you? Kind of thing. Like, why do you do what
Mhm.
you do? So I'm getting used to some of those questions. But with Mike, it was kind of like, I need to see why she is the way she is. Um, so in fact, he got baptized, and it wasn't just on me. He did it all on his own. He found, and he said, I know this makes sense to me, to him. And so he did. He joined the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. So for me, it's always been a big part of my life. I've always, it's something that I knew that I would never want to let go. And that it is my choice. It was not something my mother or my dad made us do. It was my own relationship with my Savior, Jesus Christ. And I just knew that I'm just a better person and I'm a better version of myself. So it's always been a huge part of my life. It's a big part of my family and how I'm raising my children, and what mother and wife I like to become. I know it is very traditional, and I love it. I love traditions, and this is a path I knew I will always like to be part of. So for me, it's just a massive part of my life, and um, I wouldn't
So
change. Mhm.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you feel like your religious belief have driven some of the decisions in your life?
Yes.
Well,
For sure.
definitely. For example, staying in celibacy until marriage, that's one big one. It could turn
Yes.
off a lot of guys. I
No,
mean,
I know.
it's a little filter right there. Like if you're not willing to put up with that, I mean,
Yes.
it's very clear. So that one
Yes.
for sure.
Yes. 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 Yeah. It just basically helped be the best guidance for me, especially being in LA in Hollywood and coming from Utah though, which is kind of very closed-minded. I feel like Utah is actually opening up a little bit more just because we're having more and more people moving into the state of Utah, that there's more happening. I mean, hence so many reality TV shows now are happening, like Houses of Salt Lake City and Sold and whatever, all these other things that are happening. But yeah, it's helped me make a very, very, very important decisions in my life, and I really rely on it. to help me make those really important decisions in my life. I rely on prayer a lot. Um, and when things aren't going my way, I do know, like when I got on the TV show of Dancing with the Stars, that was truly an intervention because I was supposed to be traveling with my professional dance company in Europe and I wasn't chosen to go. So to actually be, they were all there when Louis came in and said, Ashley, I have Matilda on the phone, the casting agent. She wants to talk to you. We think you're the all-American girl type. They're kind of casting us, these characters.
All right. Among us, the Russian, Eastern
Yeah,
European.
yeah, right. So it just kind of happened. And then I would just be like, hey, if you want this to happen, amazing. Like I know God always has a door open if I'm willing to see it. Sometimes it's not what I choose. If what I thought would happen, but always the best thing does happen from it. If that answered your question.
Yes, absolutely. There is a bit of controversy surrounding Mormon religion, just like Catholic religion as well. I can relate to it very well. What would you say to people who criticize these conservative religions for being sexist, putting women in certain gender roles, for being homophobic, neither being gay? Obviously, you can feel whatever you want, but acting on it is not accepted neither in Mormon religion or in Catholic religion. Right. What do you say to people?
I say I'd like you just to do a little bit more reading and kind of look into it, not just read what the normal media is telling you about it and what we believe. I mean, some people think we believe that we have horns on our heads. Like some Mormons are like, where's your horns? Or how many wives how many mothers were you raised with? And it was like, you actually go and do some research. Yes. So for me, I'd say just educate yourselves a little bit more. If you're really wanting to look a little bit more into it and ask questions, we do have missionaries. My own son is preparing to go on a mission, and they go out at 18, the men, and the women go out at 19. So for my main thing is just educate yourself. You can go up and ask them questions, but don't just assume that everything that they see on media is always true, because really they don't portray, especially if there's goodness or truth, they try to hide it. So for me, you have the power of discernment. Most every individual does. Go do your research. And if there's questions, please ask them. I love everybody. I really, really, truly do. But even in the Bible, there's certain things in the Bible that we live by, and it is within God's commandments, and so we live by that. But my own personal is, I love my friends. I love it when they ask me questions, and it is a very personal relationship. It's not. I will try never to reflect myself on you or my peers when I'm traveling. So for me, it's go educate yourself, like go read up a little bit more positivity. There's always negativity though. There's always Mormon things that they can read, and then they really bash it. But those, go talk to people that live it.
Right. I think the problem is that unfortunately every community, every religion, every industry has bad apples.
Oh yes.
And then, sure. I mean, look at Hollywood. Look at the scandals that are going on there right now, starting with Harvey Weinstein to Puff Diddy right now. Absolutely disgusting. Look at politics. Look at the whole Epstein story, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Yes. Obviously, every single community, and as I said, industry, place will have bad people. It doesn't mean that they represent the rest of the community, the whole. So that's, I even spoke to Benji Schwimmer, and he had very bad experiences and some very harsh criticism. Yes. His personal experience was very negative, and it really impacted his life, and some of his friends who, even committed suicide. Really, really sad. But again, we need to look at the whole picture. And I believe, and there are studies that prove that people that are religious are happier.
Yeah.
That religion is, and that doesn't matter what kind of religion, it gives you a sense of purpose. And it is a community, it's a support system. It gives you a sense of there's something bigger than us, there's something divine, not mentioning the all sets of values and principles that we get from it.
Yes.
So I think those things are really important, and it's really amazing to see someone who believes and lives and is a living, breathing example of how happy you can be.
Yeah. It
in
is,
your
it is,
life.
it is phenomenal. And you said it right there. There is always going to be a bad apple. We're human. We're not perfect. And we do believe that there was one perfect being. So all the rest of us are still just striving. And so, yes, there'll be a few bad apples, but majority, like when they would rip into the church, that's when we would say, just ask those that are still faithful and why we still believe and why it is still important. And we are happier. I mean, I'm not happy. Like, I don't know. It's just such a different happiness too. It's not like money makes you happy. It is a type of joy. And it's so interesting you said this, because just this week alone, my gratitude is so much. I just have been looking around and just so grateful. And I feel like we have it all, and we don't. But for me, I've hit the jackpot, and I couldn't ask for anything more. And I know it's because of his grace and just keeping that positivity. And I appreciate that you asked that question, because not many people want to go there. It's kind of a taboo. Do you want to talk about what your religion or why you're so happy? So I appreciate that you said that.
You know, my next question was, and I asked this many of my guests, what does success mean to you? And you just answered it. And to hear someone so fulfilled and so grateful, I can really relate to it. I don't know if you know, I went through some healthcare in very recent months. And that really changes your life and gives you a completely different outlook. And, you know, for some people, it's private jets and, you know, driving Bentleys and wearing expensive watches. For other people, it might be traveling around the world. For me, it's something different. It's my family, the people that I have around. For you, you feel fulfilled in the life. You feel like you have it all, and that is the most incredible accomplishment. To feel that way. And, you know, many people don't realize that it's hard work. And I think that hard work, I think your religion has a very big impact on your outlook on life.
Yes.
Ashley, because so many people know you from Dancing with the Stars, I have to sneak in one question there. You have some very interesting record regarding the show. So
yes,
you made history because
you could go
you
for
were
it.
the first. Well, no. First of all, yours was the first dance ever on Dancing with the Stars. Crazy in Love, Joey McIntyre. Everyone loved it.
That's
If
right.
that one wasn't good, people would turn off that TV. That show would never become successful. So thank you for making this show.
Oh my gosh.
Opening of it, you know, worthy for people to keep watching, and eventually became a smash hit. But you also had the lowest score on the show.
You're gonna say, you're gonna bring up Master P. Bring up Master P. Yes.
Right? No, so and a lot of people will remember you from that horrific experience with the guy that just didn't want to do it, and he was all kind of wacky. But this does not sound Ashley, the gross Ashley Costa now.
Yeah.
How would you like people to remember you from the show and as a dancer, as a performer?
Yeah. Wow, what a good question. Because yes, I'm known for both of those. Well, which is kind of, I'll go back a little bit. You know how Dancing with the Stars did the top, whatever, it's on Disney Plus. You know, there was like some highlights of the show, and my children were watching it, and they literally paused and go, look at me, Mom, we didn't know you have the lowest score in the history of the show. I was like, what? I didn't know that was something that I knew they'd highlight it, but I didn't realize, like, to this day, I still have the lowest score out of 30.
Like, why do my children need to watch it on TV and find out about it from TV?
But they still were very proud. So for me, I just hope people just remember just the joy that I had in teaching my celebrities and my performance, just because I love dance so much, regardless of being the first with the lowest score. Um, just my passion for dance and my passion to teach ballroom and stick with the I love traditional ballroom. I love traditional Latin. So I hope I'm known for being, and I kind of am. I'm known as the stickler of, like, in the convention world, they're like, oh, Ashley's like the true ballroom teacher. I don't really add any other little like spice. Like, I will add obviously turns or kicks, whatever, but any of like more of the other styles of like fusioning ballroom with it, I'm very strictly ballroom. And I'm very proud of that because it's a hard form and I don't want it to ever go away. So I hope people just remember me of just being true to that and just loving it and the passion that I have for dance.
I think you are the pioneer of being the ballroom dancer that is so incredibly versatile that you pave, as we talked about it, you pave the way to all these other dancers that are right now on the show that are trained in ballroom dancing. But the reason why they are where they are is because they are so good in all the other styles, and they can bring all this versatility, and they can offer more in terms of the TV entertainment. And I think you were the first one, you were the OG of that, and you paved the way. And I think that's an amazing contribution for that. So listen, little trivia thing.
Yes.
You actually met my husband before I met him.
Yes, I did.
Was there a point in your life when you almost guys started dancing together?
Yes, actually. So when I just broke up with my partner, John, I was talking to a few dancers, and Alec called me up, and he called me just to do an audition with him, and wanted me to fly out to San Francisco. But after his phone call, because I know he was so good, like for him just to call me, like that was just like crazy, first of all, and then I kind of was like, okay, I'm actually people.
And then he's Zhenya's brother, so
yes, so I was just like, it was really kind of a hard decision because I also had some dancers in England, but I also knew I wanted to also stay in Utah. So after Alec called, that's when I actually called Rick, and I was like, Rick, Alec would like, because Rick was also my coach, Rick Robinson. I was like, Alec would like to have an audition. What do you think? And then that's when Rick was like, well, why don't we start doing pro-am together? Because that's what we started. And then he's like, and then maybe we'll see. And so I was like, okay, I do like staying in Utah. So, I had to turn Alec down, but then I know, like, literally you came within weeks. I don't know. I just know it's just in a transition between, he was in like partner transitions. And so he was auditioning, and in the ballroom world, we audition with lots of partners. So some people would fly in and literally move to the US to dance with a specific partner. There was one in England that was like very, like, Shirley was like, Ashley, you're going to be dancing with this guy. Like, you need to fly here. I just, at the time of my life, was like, I just feel like I need to be home for a little bit longer. So that's why I turned Alec down to do an audition.
Thank
we didn't
goodness.
So but then we got to do Louis' show together. So then we were all still together, but it was just like meant to be. Yes. But that was a true thing.
Oh gosh, I'm telling you, thank goodness. But I can relate to you because the last thing I wanted is to move away from my home. And, you say you have it all. I could say I almost have it all. I never complain about anything except that one thing, that I live thousands of miles away from my family. And that is the hardest thing for me up to this date. It is getting easier, and particularly because now I have my own family, but that void will never be filled, and no amount of visiting will make up for it.
I
Ashley, what are your goals for 2025?
Oh, really good question. Goals. Oh my goodness. I set them. One of my main goals was actually to become a better choreographer and not so
Mm.
nervous. So with dance, I'm wanting to not be a kind of a whole pigeon toe myself into a certain thing, and I'd like to open up a little bit more, incorporate a lot of the talent or training that I've been given. So I kind of want to be opening, which choreography, every dancer we're given different gifts. So some dancers can be incredible choreographers. Some dancers are incredible teachers. Some dancers are incredible performers and dancers. So all of us have different gifts. I love to teach and I'm a technician. So choreography is always something I've had to work on. So that was a goal of mine, is to be a better choreographer. Always a better goal is to be a better mother, and what I can do to help just do better at it. And there's a lot of things that I look at that I'm kind of falling short. But yes, I know there's no such thing as perfection. I just know for myself, to make myself grow, there's certain things that I can just do better. The other is just really quality time with my children. And it's kind of hard. You get distracted now and then. So we've been actually doing more game time, one-on-one, like card
Ah.
games, board games, just that family time where it's not technology constantly. So that was something I was like, oh, let's just try that a little bit more. And I don't know, just I
These
don't
are
know.
some great goals. These are some great goals.
Like, it's just always things like, I just also, in just my own testimony, just stronger, knowing my scriptures, just stuff like that, that I just know I can do better, but I want to know, like, uh, just like scholars know. I'm not a scholar in any sense. I just know like what I believe in my testimony, but I just kind of want to just feel like I can be a little smarter in that. I don't know if that makes sense, but
We can
that's
always
like
learn.
realistic goals. And yeah, but I take one goal at a time.
Yeah, and I want my audience to know this, that none of it is material, or none of it is about the things that you care, the things. It's all about how to become a better human being. Ashley, if I could, I would give you a big, big hug.
Oh, I
Thank
missed
you
you so
so
much.
much.
For sure, for
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you. Please say hi to your mom, to your wonderful family, to your husband. Thank you for your time. I know you're going to have an amazing year ahead of you, and I can't wait to catch up with you again. Please, if you are ever in this neck of the woods, let me know.
Oh, I will for sure. And same vice versa. If you ever come to Utah on any whim, maybe if you guys come skiing, let me know.
It's actually on my bucket list. Utah is such a beautiful state. I definitely, one of the things that I love to do is to travel with my family, and Utah is on the one of the top spots in a country for me to visit. There are so many beautiful places that I would like to go to. So I would love to see
And
your
I'd love
mom and your beautiful
Oh,
sisters.
she
That would
would
be
love
such
it.
a
My
treat.
mom would literally put her day aside, but Edita's coming. Okay, this is what we're going to be doing, you guys, when she gets here. Like, she'll have it planned
Gosh.
out.
If I bring Natasha with me, that would be historic
Oh my God.
moment.
She would just love it. I would love it too. That would be so fun.
Thank you, Ashley, again.
Thank you, Edita. Thank you for having me.